Well, hello, everybody. Get Balanced 2020. I'm going to shut my phone off. My daughter's in Oklahoma right now, and she is just texting me like no tomorrow. So welcome. So hopefully if you're coming from Facebook, you found me okay. Get Balanced 2020, Patty Hall. I guess I've got to figure out how to fix that. But in the interim, what you're here about is that real dirty word called love. Yeah, nobody seems to want to use that anymore. What's the deal? Or they're fearful of using it. A fear can hold us back on so much, especially when it comes to love and misunderstanding it, because if you say those three words, oh my goodness, it's going to cause you so much trouble, heartache, blah, 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 right? Not at all. Not at all. So what you're here for today is actually to learn about the differences of love, being in love. How about the 8 different kinds of love, as well as 5 love languages? Did you even know all that? What element of love are you in with what relationships you have with your family, your friends, maybe a partner, all that kind of stuff. So let's figure this all out. So why is it that people are so fearful of saying those words? Here's the thing. It's very easy to say the words, but what is connected to those words? Actually, they are feelings. Those are feelings that actually are a choice that you can actually grow, hold back, or do absolutely nothing with. Sometimes people will say those 3 words and it'll be just sort of poo-poo coming out of their mouth that they don't even really mean it. That little brown stuff that usually sometimes happens comes out of mouth just because you want to pacify somebody else. Not a good way to do that. So we're actually going to sort of talk about a little bit the definitions. We're going to talk about what love is for man versus God. And I'm not going to go into the religion, but that is where it all starts. And it's actually not a religion. It's a relationship. So anybody in my circle knows that it's all about a relationship, not anything to do with any religion. I don't believe in religion. I believe in relationships. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about each element, what it means. We're also going to talk about 5 love languages. And also, too, if you've not picked up the book, there's actually a book on it. It's called The 5 Love Languages. Yeah. So if you haven't picked that up, then it's actually a very good read, especially if you're in a relationship that might be having a little bit of trouble, because I'll guarantee that you're not understanding what the other person's love language is. You're actually trying to give your love language, which may mean absolutely nothing to that other person. So that we'll talk about those. And what is good love? What's toxic love? Or is there really a toxic love? Let's find out. So let's get started. Where did love really start? Okay, in Get Balanced 2020, we talk about the mind, the spirit, and the body. Okay, and we always say that spirit starts first. Spirit speaks to our character, our personality. It tells us what's right and wrong, whether we want to listen or not, right? So then our mind is actually our soul, our head, our character, our personality, this part, and then it tells our body how to act, speak, or not react. So if you're going to say I love you, or I don't say I love you, then actually that is how it works. So love started literally in the spirit, and love is God or spirit or whatever. Now, what a concept, right? Because some faiths believe that God is I am. Some people believe that God is universe, God is energy, God is life. But the thing is, what is it in every element, no matter where you are around the world, that everybody relates a creator to? Love. Now, if you ever noticed or witnessed anybody that has gone through, now I have met somebody that actually went through a near-death experience. And if you look at a lot of them, some of them, they're not very pretty, but if you look on YouTube and go through some near-death experiences or a TED Talk about doctors that deal with death, you can actually hear almost every single person talk about there's this enormous, unconditional love. It just is. So why is that so important? Because that's what we're created to do. We're created as human beings, as animals, as almost anything on this earth that actually has a brain, is to love. And what is it that we want in return? Love. Why is it such a big deal? Why is it so hard to get then? Because the misunderstanding or the complications of it is that people speak what they don't actually feel and mean, and that's where it gets complicated. But if you talk to somebody with near-death experience, they will then begin not to fear death anymore because they have felt such an enormous love that they can't even comprehend. Okay, so that's what we're keying for. That's what it's unconditional, but it's one thing that people just hunger for. That even in this day and age, we're going through COVID, we're going through riots, we're going through hate, we're going through racism, but be underneath all of that ugliness is the hunger, the cry, the yelling, the screaming inside. I just want to be loved. I just want to be understood. I just want to love and be loved. Deep down, that is the source. Spirit is our source. Did you know, just for a little bit of a fact, that this is actually next September, August 16th. Do you know what was happening in 1969 on this weekend? This very weekend, the Woodstock was going on. Do you know how many people for love were there? 400,000 people. 400,000 people. Why were they there? Love. And let me tell you, they sure spread the love, didn't they? Anyway, so that's what, people thrive and hunger and look for love all the time. Why do you think these dating apps and these dating websites are just loaded with people? It's not that they're lonely or desperate. They just don't understand love and how it works and how they actually have control of it within themselves, but also can help others get loved as well. We have spent billions and billions and billions of dollars on love. Why? Because it is the most important element on this big green ball or blue ball, whatever you want to call it. So let's get down to some of the nitty gritty. All right. So what is love? Is love really man-made or is it spirit-made? We already talked that it is from spirit. But what is sort of the definition? So is love and being in love the same thing? Nope, it's not. And there are different levels, like we talked about, of love. And I'm going to switch this around here in a second. You get to see my dirty office. It's actually not dirty. It's just small and shoveled a little bit. But we're going to talk about the 8 different types of love. You can determine where you're at in your self-love. Where is that? And what kind of love is that? Self-love. And then where you are with maybe your family or your friends or whatever. And why is it so hard for us, just as friends or family, to even just say, I love you without somebody panicking, getting a heavy, quick breathing chest and all that kind of stuff? It is something that we should be able to say and feel free-flowing. So let me ask you this. Is love a choice? Yes? No? Love is a choice. You can choose to love someone. You can choose to fall in love with someone. You can choose to fall out of love with someone. You can actually choose to not love anyone. But again, you're lying to yourself, because what is the number one thing a human being is in search for? And what is that love? Okay? And why? because even if you look at love and any of the faiths around the world, what do they ask you to do? Protect your heart, guard your heart, or whatever that is. You want to protect it because the heart is where the spirit lies, and that is what we need to keep like an armor on. So we need to be mindful who we let into our circles, who we are going to love or not love, choose to love or not love, because that could really affect us. And so is there a toxic love? Yes, there is. Is that really love if it's toxic, dysfunctional, destructive? No, because there's fear behind the person that actually may be the one being the one that is actually doing any harm. So there's fear and brokenness there. So that's a different topic. Toxicity is a different topic. But the thing is that, yes, okay. So I'm going to switch this around and we're going to go and we're going to talk about the different elements of love. And hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right. Oh my gosh, there's a glare there. Let me see if I can get this up. Okay, so these are the 8 things of love. Agape, unconditional. You're going to hear that. You'll hear, like, I'm into horses, so you'll hear horse rescues talk about an agape horse rescue. Unconditional. You're loved unconditional. Can we as human beings live unconditionally? If we are selfless and living for others rather than self, then a lot of the times there is a possibility, but unfortunately our brain gets in the way, and it's really, really hard not to either put a stipulation, a standard, put boundaries or whatever, because we want our own way. Excuse me, we're part of that. Never eat hot dogs before you do a video. Anyway, it's very, very hard for a human being to give unconditional love, because it's just, and that is a spiritual love is the most ultimate thing that you're going to get close to an agape kind of love. So EROS, these are all Greek terms. So if I butcher them, I'm sorry, I don't speak Greek. I speak Japanese. So I sort of do my cinnamons like Japanese. So EROS, you'll find that in writing, romantic love, fictions, romantic kind of love, eros, pathos, and all those kind of things. Get to the emotions of it. So that is a very romantic love. That's more of a movies kind of thing, you know, because in romance is one thing to one person might be different to another person. So then we have PHILIA, which is affection. Now, affection doesn't have to mean physical. Affection could be just there supporting, helping, understanding, but it could be, you know, something that you're like caring about for that person. Maybe you're helping them with their health, helping them get out of the hospital, helping them kind of thing. And then we got PHILAUTIA. PHILAUTIA is self-love. And I put a star behind these two because these are the two that we should be obtaining. The number one things is we should be obtaining actually first our self-love, and then agape, trying to achieve unconditional love, which means you're going to have to get into your spirit a little bit. And if you don't want to get into your spirit, and that could create a very unbalanced, because you have to have spirit, mind, and body all together to get balanced. So maybe think about that. If you're like, nah, I'm not spiritual. Well, you got to believe in something, because if you're atheist, you actually sort of do believe in something, because why are you trying to prove that there isn't a God if you don't believe in God? Anyway, for another time. So, storage. I want to say storage on that one all the time, but that's a familiar. So that'd be sort of like family. We're familiar with somebody. Or if you've been in a relationship a long time, then you're very familiar. You know the ands, ifs, buts about another person. And so it's just familiar to you. Maybe an old child friend who's known you for so many years. That's a familiar. So that is a form of love. It is a form of love to actually sit there and be around that person. You like that familiar. Sometimes we sort of get stuck there, though, and that familiar could be also something that we need to move away from to grow, and we want to stay there. And then sometimes we just don't grow. We sort of get stuck there. So, and pragma is enduring. Look at the older couples that have been married 40, 50, 60 years. That is one of the ultimates, I think, because you have endured the test of time. You've been through the good, the bad, the ugly together. You know everything about you or the other person. And it is something, there is an attachment, a spiritual attachment, that no matter what that person could do, say, or didn't do, is you're going to stay with them. That, to me, becomes an agape love. Because if you've stood the test of times with somebody for that long, how could it not be agape love? So I really think that the pragma and the agape love should actually go together. But next one is Ludus. Ludus is playful, sort of that, kind of fun. You just want to go have fun. Maybe you want to dress up and do stuff, or maybe you want to, go do things together. Could be some intimacy, fun things as well. But that also, too, can be a family playful love. So even though you have actually familiar and playful, a family does. You go on a vacation together. You go to Disney World, Disneyland, or whatever. That's very playful, and you're doing it all together because you all enjoy it. So that's a playful love. Telling jokes or having fun or coffee or whatever. Playfulness, just lighthearted, keeping the energies lifted up, very playful. Now, mania, that one is an obsessive love. So obsessive actually is borderline, only because when we obsess over something, if you were a believer in God or faith or whatever, what do they say about that? It becomes an idol. It becomes something that you cannot stop thinking about, sleeping about, and all that kind of stuff. Is this being in love? Not really. So this is actually a love that is sort of based a little bit deeper, but has a little distortion to it. You can be obsessed about something, but then that balance gets off. So our balance is not healthy if we begin to think something of an obsession over something. That's like when I worked in chemical dependency, becomes an addiction or something to that. Sexual addiction is very much an obsession. So that is not a love. You have a love of it, but you're so obsessed you cannot control yourself over it. That's when it becomes a little detrimental to your well-being, your healthy self. So if you watch pornography, that is actually, you're desensitizing yourself to actually having any of these loves with somebody else, because pornography, using toys, is actually desensitizing you to what a human can actually do, a real human in front of you can actually do. So therefore, you're desensitizing yourself to being able to allow that person to express love as much as they can, or you even be functional to express it to them. Maybe that creates a dysfunction that you cannot perform in that way. That's when we talk about obsessions. Fatal attraction, that even though they think they love them, they have become so obsessed that then it becomes unhealthy. Now, some people say, well, is abuse love? It's not. Abuse is actually a power issue. So that is something broken inside, that some trauma or something happened to that person that actually created them to need that power over somebody. So if you know people in an abusive relationship, well, he loves me even though, he says he's sorry. No. Or she loves me. No, it could be a guy or a girl doing abuse. That is not love. That's a power. That's a power trip. And that actually can be very detrimental and deadly. So we're not going to talk about that today. So those are the 8 elements. So where are you at with yourself? Are you even self-loving? Do you even love yourself, or do you hate yourself? You're like, what does she mean, hate myself? Literally, people do hate themselves. You know why? Because they actually put themselves into relationships that they should never put themselves into if they were healthy. So toxic relationships, or not knowing themselves well enough, love themselves well enough to know their intentions, their desires, what they will put up with, standards or boundaries that they will put up with, or their bad habits and their good habits, their weaknesses and their strengths. Because when we love a partner, or anyone in our family, we are supposed to build that person up. So when we build that person up, then actually they can flourish and grow. So do we love ourselves enough to know ourselves? What is it that I will accept in my life, will not accept in my life, what my boundaries are, what my goals are, and actually get yourself in singleness to a point where you have self-love and actually know what it will take for you to endure with someone else, to have enduring love. Because that is really huge. When people go into dating, a lot of people are not even ready to date because they don't even know where they are on this scale. So we have to understand, what is my intent? What am I looking for? Am I looking for a playful love? Sometimes playful loves are really, really good, but there has to be a boundary and a standard, because otherwise it becomes an immature love, not a mature love. Because maybe that person hasn't had, maybe they've had trauma that they hide their playfulness or their laughter through pain. And maybe they haven't grown up enough in that love. So that's one thing, that playful is really important in a relationship or growing as a person. We have to enjoy life, lift our vibrations up, have happy and good thoughts and things like that. But there is a boundary and a limit to that. So when we go to look at affectionate love, okay, so affectionate love actually could be physical touch. Physical, maybe somebody really loves to be hugged. When I grew up, no hugging, not at all. We did not touch at all. And even though my inner self was like, I really just want a hug from my mom. I just really want, and I would go hug her, but it would be just like, okay, I'm busy. You know, because that might be a generational thing that actually never happened in her family as well. So she didn't know about it. She didn't even maybe she was crying for hugs back then. But as I had my child, I hugged and hugged and hugged and hugged. Sometimes we give our kids the things that we didn't have, that we wished we would have had. Sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's not a good thing. But it's actually a good thing in this case, because physical touch is huge. It can actually physically heal a person. So when I joined a church in Newburgh, or in Beaverton, this is a church I was not comfortable with because they all hug. Everybody hugs. I'm like, okay, what is this? And then before I knew it, I really like this. So I go up and start hugging. So I became a big hugger. So my daughter's like, anybody who comes over, my mom's a big hugger. So anyway, because it's important, that human touch. Babies in the hospital, physical touch. If they don't have that physical touch, that also the affirmation, the speaking, you know, they can actually deteriorate rather than grow if they're a preemie or something like that. So affection, romance, you know, some people are that way. So you can sort of figure out where you are in this scale and what you're actually looking for and what you want and desire. So let's go over to the love languages. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not. Oops, I'll go this way. So if there is a book called 5 Love Languages, I've read it several times. I've given it out to a lot of people. And when my husband left, I actually thought, what happened? I never ever got an answer to why he left. I thought I was totally in love with him and things were good and first year of marriage and blah, blah, blah. But lo and behold, after he left, he wanted to come back. Is that a good thing? That's another video. No. Anyway, so what happened was I went and read the 5 love languages. Because as we divorce or we leave partners or partners leave us, we ask, what did I do? I thought I loved them as much as I I thought I was doing the right thing. So what was it about me? And so the thing is, that's the wrong way to think about it's basically what happened or what was wrong with the other person that maybe they weren't ready. Sorry, it's very warm wherever you guys are at. I'll tell you right now, Texas is 111. My daughter just said they're leaving Texas right now. It was 101 in Oregon, even with the air conditioner on. I'm sweating. That's okay. I can always lose the extra weight. Anyway, so let's get back to this. So the thing is that love languages have a lot to do with each side. So if somebody's left you or you left somebody, there is a reason inside you why it happened. It's not the person that got left. It's not them. If they've given it their all, if they've done it their all, given 200%, that is not anything to do with you. There's something broken in that other person that they either, one, do not want to address or change, or two, they just a user and want to go and keep doing it to other people. I've had both, unfortunately. All right. So the first love language is affirmation. So some people might I don't know what affirmation means, because affirmation is about just words. It's about what you say. The thing is with affirmation, that is a love language, but unfortunately, there's so much lying out there that you got to really know and be careful of what and who you're actually getting affirmation from. It has to be somebody that is going to support you, lift you up, going to be a helper, somebody that has got your back, somebody that is maybe even seeing you go the distance. So you want that affirmation from somebody in that. Maybe if you don't have anybody like that, then getting somebody of a mentor, a coach, or somebody that can help lift you up until you figure out how to love yourself in that way. You have to learn to say those things to yourself. I love myself. I'm smart. I'm strong. I'm beautiful. You have to learn to say those affirmations to yourself first. So affirmations are sort of a little tricky, but some people just need to hear, I love you. You look beautiful. Oh, today it was so good to hear you today, or whatever. Second one is acts of service. Well, what do you mean by that? What am I supposed to be, a servant to somebody? No, that is not what it means at all. So acts of service is a huge, huge love language. You think of doctors and nurses and things like that as a love language because it's actually helping in some manner, form or manner, like a volunteer. Volunteers are passionate about what they're volunteering about. That's a service love. You'll hear that in also like in different type of faiths, you need to serve, But the thing is about spirit, if you want to go that deep, is spirit is about others. We are not here for ourselves. We're here for others. We're here to help and grow others. Why do you think, the Spirit put man and woman together? Because we're helpers. We're not to sit there and destroy and push down and belittle and to do all that kind of stuff. We're here as helpers. And that's what we do. No matter who we are, whatever our gifts and talents are, or whatever our calling is, we are here to be helpers. We are here to grow somebody, lift somebody up, even with a kind word. That's all it takes sometimes. So that's the acts of service. And again, examples of acts of service in a relationship. Maybe you are wanting to help clean somebody's house. Maybe you're doing the dishes just because the other person's really tired, works 10-hour days, and that's their love language, is an act of service. Okay, so receiving gifts. This is a huge one. Materialism to me is nothing, but to my daughter, it's huge. If I were to buy her something, she thinks that is me showing her that I love her. So it could be even a little thing as an ice cream cone or something of that. But some people's gifts are huge. Me, I like flowers. That's about it. Give me flowers and I'm a happy camper. Quality time, that is a huge one. We in this busy world, and now that we're in COVID, a lot of people in quarantine, you got lots of quality time, right? Well, we find out actually how much we can love in different ways and what each other's love language is. This is actually a good topic and a good thing to sit down. But quality time is huge. It's not the quantity of time, remember, it's the quality. You can sit with somebody quietly, watch a movie, and just the energies between you are just happy and joyful. That's all. You don't have to say anything. This could be family as well. Now that families are able to sit together and love each other and know each other better, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that we need to retrain and refocus. But the thing is, the quality time is really important. And of course, physical touch, embracing, holding, in intimacy. That's a huge thing. I won't go into that because that can create soul ties, which you don't want to create soul ties. You want to create a soul mate or a mate for your soul. But that's another topic for another time. So question is, which one is your love language? And do you have more than one? Now, if you're with a family or you live with a family or you live with a partner, do you know what theirs is? And how many of theirs do they have? The reason why I bring this up is after we got divorced, my husband wanted to come back. And I told him, I said, I read this book and it's really good. And he had heard about it as well, but he didn't pay any attention to it. And we had a very in-length conversation about the book and the different love languages. And I said to him, if I would have known all this before you left, we would have never got divorced because I was giving you my love language, which meant nothing to him. And vice versa. He didn't really know my love language. And then actually, there's another long story to that. But my point is, if you know each other's, you can actually communicate 10 times better. So that is actually love. That's love. So hopefully, if you didn't catch these on the video, it'll be recorded and you can go back and watch again. But don't forget to subscribe so you know that when I'm on. Go ahead and hit that bell once you subscribe and you'll know every time that I'm on live. I'm also on Divine Warrior Intuitive, but that's a different channel. You'd have to subscribe there and hit that bell to know when I'm on. I'm on there a lot more live than I'm on here. So I'm going to switch you back around. Whoop, whoop. And then we're going to talk about the differences of being in love. So love is actually just an intense feeling, right? And an intense feeling can be of anything. I love coffee. I love horses. I love, football. I love whatever that is. It's just an intense feeling. So when we're talking about being in love, that is actually an intense feeling at a next level. So a lot of the times when you say, hey, I really love you, or you get off the phone, love you, a lot of people are like, hey, okay, and that sort of blows out the ear. But if you say, I love you, then it also brings it to another level, right? But if you tell somebody, I'm in love with you, that is an inexplicit passion or desire. So when we're in love with somebody, so this is really great for those of you that are dating to know, actually, if you're infatuated, you love the person, or you're in love with the person. So infatuation is a whole different thing. That's lust. That is just, something fresh that you haven't thought about. You haven't put a lot of processing into it, that you're infatuated because something is actually making you excited. You could be infatuated with roller coasters. Those are instant, momentaneous. You don't have to think about it. You're just in it for the moment and then out. Infatuation does not last. Again, we look at enduring love, the pragma love, that is lasting. And when we go into dating, people just panic at the word. I've done this before, and it's just like, okay, I guess I can't do that. But it's like, this is what God intended us to do, to love each other, to grow each other, to help each other. And the thing is, it is very fearful for a lot of people. A lot of it is due to damage, or trauma, or maybe they weren't loved, or maybe there was abuse or something, that it causes them to put that block up, to guard their heart even more. Sometimes when we fall in love or love, we say put a wall up, right? So what I tell people in coaching, I said, don't put that wall up. If you're going to put a wall up to protect yourself, that's okay, but make sure there's a gate or a door in the center. And they're like, what the heck? No, you need a gate or door in the center that you can open and close to let whoever you want in. That is your choice, your determination. Then leave the wall up for the rest. But if you just put a wall up, that gives you no wiggle room to get in whatsoever. Does that make sense? So make sure, if you're going to keep your wall up, put a gate or a door in the center. All right? So, and then you allow whoever you want in. And that person, if you choose to love them or go and be in love with them, they have standards and boundaries. You should have standards and boundaries of at what point you're going to allow them in. Trust is huge. Time takes. Some people can be trusted right away. Some actually have to build trust. And it's you that actually can either give trust or tell somebody they have to earn it. So a lot of the times giving trust is a good thing. It's just hard when you've been in love or love maybe one or two times, and then that being burnt enough will cause you to actually put that wall up. Keep that gate there. So when you're looking at in love, though, we're looking at a deep, deep passion or desire. And what does that mean? Well, I love them. I have a passionate desire. I love them. No, this is something where you can't stop thinking about them. You just want to be with them. You want to be around them all the time. They make you feel good. They make you feel lifted up. They make you feel like you're growing and they want the best for you. Okay? So that is what being in love is what's supposed to look like. Now, I don't know where you're at in the process of love or in love, or maybe just loving your family, your friends. Maybe you're learning to date and you want to know how to go about all of this, right? So what are you looking for? So there is also, thank you, because there's also another thing. So when you are loving somebody or you love somebody, it's all about what they make you feel like. I love them because they make me feel happy. I love them because they have the same interests as I do. I love them because we get along. We can talk about all the same topics. All right? That's love. Now, being in love is actually stepping beyond that. Being in love is actually loving the person other than yourself. Means you want to do everything for that person. That's in love. It's selfless. Whereas more love is selfish. Does that make sense? Now, in this case, it's not a bad thing because we have to love ourselves first, right? We have to find that. So do opposites work? Do opposites attract? And does that really, really work? Yes, it does. You know why? Because when we love somebody, we're trying to grow each other. And if I have a weakness and that person has a strength, what a great fit. If that person has a strength or has a weakness and I have that strength, what a perfect fit. So it's like people say, well, I don't know, we're so opposites. Will it work out? That's the divine in you. But the thing is that, yes, it can work out. All right. So let me see if I've hit all the topics here. I have. So the other thing too is at the end of the day, love should not be a bad word to use. We talk about all the dysfunctions in the world. I mean, with everything, and maybe this is why the divine wanted me to come on and talk about this today. I don't know. He says jump, I jump. But the thing is that we need to know that every single being, every animal on this earth, and if you want to know if animals really have feelings, go look at a rescue commercial or the ASPA, SPSA or whatever the Humane Society commercials and tell me that you cannot see pain or fear or all those kind of things in an animal. They actually have, if they have those feelings, they have love as well. Everything just needs love, wants to be loved. And to say that, now the other thing is, to finalize everything, is you can tell somebody over and over and over you love them or you're in love with them. And here's where the problem in relationships happen, is somebody's so easy to say it, but they don't act it. So when you are in a relationship or looking for a relationship, you need to watch the actions of their love, or any, if there is any at all. Because the other thing, again, it could be infatuation, or it could be manipulation as well. Then that's where it gets confusing. And that's where all the problems come in, because men have games, women have games. And when it comes to dating, it's all about not fishing, but testing each other to see how much, rather than just being completely honest. If people were more completely honest when they come to dating, which doesn't happen in your younger years, but as you get older, you get sick and tired of the game, so you actually be truthful. Just tell me the truth. I got big girl panties on. Tell me the truth. I got big boy pants on. You know, that kind of thing. So it becomes to the point where you actually then get tired of the games. Just tell me. I'll move on. It doesn't matter. You know, because we know at this age, love is a choice. And to be in love with somebody is a choice. Also, too, it's how you connect to chemistry, your energies, and everything like that. It has a lot to do with it. But manipulation is so powerful and so strong that people use those 3 letters, I love you, and then everything gets skewed because he said he loved me. Okay, so as a coach, I would sit there and ask, okay, what is he doing? That's not love. Oh, okay, well, that's not love either. Okay, where is he lifting you up? Where is he helping you? Where is he supporting you? Where are you supporting him? Where are you lifting him up? Oh. And then they wonder why people get cheated on. Cheating is so prevalent in relationships when people come to me, will he come back? Will he come back? Why would you want him back if he left? If he left, and then he wants to come back 2 months later, it's manipulation. It's not about change. It's not about all that kind of stuff. It's, you got to listen as men and women to the words and the actions meeting the same. If the actions are not meeting the words, you go by the actions. So with love, being in love, and that will save you a lot of headaches and a lot of heartache and a lot of tears, and hiring me as a coach. All right. So hopefully that gave you some ideas. Some if there was people on, I would be answering questions. But the thing is, I hope this gave you some information, some guidance, some tools to maybe help you understand yourself better on the love, on the different loves, on the different levels. And you can have any of them. You can have one of them. You can have all of them. Same with the 5 love languages. Find out what yours is. Have a discussion with your partner, your family, your friends. With the kids, you know what? You can figure it out with the kids, because you got one calling into your leg that wants hugs. The other one wants money. You know, you can figure it out with your kids, but this is more adult. All right, you guys, I hope you had a good lesson. I hope you're staying cool, staying healthy. Learn to say love a lot more than all these other words, hate, racism, and all that kind of stuff, because just know that the person you're looking at and talking to just wants to be loved as much as you do. All right, take care. Bye-bye.